On this show, we value rigorous discourse and the pursuit of truth in all realms of human endeavor and our natural environment, seen and unseen. Learning should never cease, and where we find ourselves with thoughts which are unfounded, we seek to upgrade them with facts and sound reasoning. We all have opinions, but on this show, your opinion don't count. So, continuing off from last week, since we've been all up in the weeds, um, I will continue down this rabbit hole of the sexual marketplace being what is valuable to one and versus the other. Um and getting on in when we view somebody in the sexual marketplace. I know we've all been at some point, whether we were younger, even so now, there's been a some form of rating scale at one time or another. I feel in everybody's life in which you say, hey, you're gonna rate the person who maybe you're interested in, or maybe they're interested in you, for you to make some type of decision. Should we even give these rates any type of credence?
So yeah, why not? I mean, you obviously know what you want in a mate as a man, right? So shouldn't we consider that sexual value as well? That all boils down to personal qualities, external sources like income, looks, status, social qualities. I mean, you have at the end of the day, you have preference. You would like to be with a particular person that exhibits certain traits. I would consider that sexual value.
But do you think we should also stick with, like, hey, should this person, they're 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 6 out of 10?
And why not? Why not?
Okay.
This scale is based on your personal opinion, right? Why
And
not?
requirement.
Exactly. I
Wait,
mean,
wait,
so
wait, wait. I think we hit a snag in the matrix there. When you say the scale is based on your personal opinion, I think that's
yeah,
where we
no, because
okay.
if you're dating someone, if you when you're dating somebody, you have a certain set of requirements that you would like that person to have certain traits, and you could rate that person from a scale of 1 to 10. You could rate that person very high or very low, and I could be the exact opposite because I'm outside looking in. I don't see
No,
the traits that
no,
you would.
that's not a marketplace.
No, he asked a second question. He actually we stick to rating someone on a scale after
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
we
but
should
explain
give
it.
them credence.
the
Right.
rating, the whole context of the rating is in the sense that because if you have a personal rating system and you're just saying, well, it's whatever I like, that actually defeats the purpose of idea of a marketplace. So it's two competing kind of narratives. And the question that always comes up for me is because oftentimes, and I don't need to take it into male female dynamics, but a lot of times it is women that I hear talk about the value and have an issue with the idea of being graded or being put a number towards them. That part of it is something that is like as a man, you have an understanding of your access and your reach. Now you could decide to step out of that, but in a sense, hey, I taken a swing for the fences. Let me go at this one, or let me go over here. You know that you're swinging for the fences. Where you have your playground, you know that this is your playground because of the factors that you are exuding within a marketplace, meaning that for this realm of women that you meet the criteria of being a provider, being someone that's seen as a protector, being someone that's seen as someone that has knowledge, the ability to guide, these things. You're seen as that in a certain realm of women. And we accept that quite readily.
So you're
Yeah, but
saying So you're saying the value in which we given these things is more or less objective and not subjective.
Yeah, it's objective within. Okay, let me try to get my best example of something that I actually had a contradiction with when it comes up to, and I mentioned Kevin Samuels a short minute ago, but let's say for something, you talk about a beauty aesthetic, or you talk about a facial aesthetic.
Mhm.
Okay, so right, so there have been studies, exercises which talks about perfect beauty and the perfect face and how that rates statistically, scientifically, or whatever, right?
Mhm.
But the precursor to those things within the studies have been reactions that have already been, we use the word tainted by Eurocentrism. So the only way that you could start to get markers statistically is that you basically you're seeing people's reaction to certain features, but those people's reactions has already been Europeanized. So the fact that your study comes out with a certain response, it means a certain thing. So I don't want to rely on actual study. However, the concept of it, I think, is accurate in the sense that yes, within certain demographics, there are features that are more desirable. And within that community, you're then able to assess or you're able to articulate a score. So for instance, if there's we're in the ethnic community, whether it's Black, whether it's Caribbean, whether it's whatever it may be, we know that having nice posterior is an added bonus to any female situation. Whereas in the Caucasian community, it's not really that much. People here, and I've had white friends who be like, "Man, you got to check out this chick. She's fine as hell, the most beautiful thing ever." And I go and look, and it's like, that's a negative. But when it when it comes down to it, when you are in the community, you understand, okay, this person represents this level of beauty. And that level of beauty, if you start to put it on a scale of 6, 7, 8, 10, whatever you want it to be, it does become something that carries. It's not like you're gonna end up with a girl and it say, okay, well, when you rate her as a 9, but Kev, to you, she's like a 3. That's not a real marketplace.
Okay, so
Why not?
so
Why not?
basically, I understand what he's saying. It is essentially like, let's just throw J-Lo or Harley Berry out there, right? If any of us gives a rating of her, I would be willing to bet we are within a point up or a point below, if not the same
False.
thing. Huh?
No. No. You said Jaden who?
I
Halle
said
Berry?
J-Lo and Halle Berry.
J-Lo and Halle Berry. I don't find Halle Berry attractive at all.
Hold on.
What in the river?
There's a difference between somebody, you finding them attractive, and them being objectively attractive. Like,
Right. And this is my point. Right. When you come down to a marketplace, right? There are several items on the shelf, right?
Mm-hmm.
There could be 4 items that I would say, you know what, I would consider purchasing that item. Not saying that females' items to be purchased. I would say I would purchase several items on the shelf. You might say, babe, I wouldn't buy any of those on the shelf, right? Just because we don't agree, or we're not in close agreement to certain things, doesn't mean it's not a marketplace. It's the same thing. Regardless if it's my personal views or my personal opinions on said items, it doesn't make a difference because it's still a marketplace at the end of the day. I know people like to say, well, generally speaking, or just based on a few people, that doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, a marketplace that's exactly what a marketplace is. Different items for different people. So if you have
marketplace, you have a consensus around value. If you have a consensus around value, then in the financial world we call it arbitrage, and where there's arbitrage opportunities, like I will give you an example of an arbitrage opportunity. when you see a fine as hell Family Island girl who don't know how pretty she is, that's an arbitrage opportunity. And so what you end up seeing happen is with those girls, a dude would try to scoop them up super quick before she hit the city. That's an arbitrage. She's not in the marketplace. But when in relation to what it is that you're talking, you'll never have a situation where you have a diamond chain, Rolex watch, 10,000, 15,000, a platinum necklace, 18,000, and then somebody is just like, oh yeah, by the way, I really don't like diamonds that much. So here is this diamond that I'm gonna be selling for $50. That doesn't happen.
So you're saying all
Because
items in the marketplace are highly valuable and highly expensive, but that's not the case on a marketplace. You have very cheap items, you have very expensive items.
No, there is very cheap items in the marketplace, like in the jewelry analogy, you got cubic zirconium, but it's still a marketplace for it, right? So
Correct.
so if I bring it back to talking about actual females, is you yourself may not find Halle Berry attractive, but I bet you can understand why people find her attractive.
Nah.
Okay.
No.
Okay. My hands up on that one.
I don't find it attractive in no way, shape, or form. I just don't.
I say you don't, but can you understand why other people do?
No, I don't. I don't.
Okay.
Well, what it is, right? Because there's a lot of different elements that could go along with that. The way that I would, if we were saying this is a homie conversation, the way that I would have you prove this to me is I would have to have you list me off the 5 women that you think are beautiful and show me where Halle Berry is so uniquely different than those women. I doubt that would be the case. But if you're the type of person that's a contrarian and it's like, well, everyone tripped over Halle Berry, so I don't like her, then that's one thing. But if you're saying that your eyes gaze on Halle Berry, and not even necessarily to say today, because of course, if you're looking at her as an older woman and you're just like, all right, well, I don't really find her attractive, that's different. But Halle Berry in the minds of those that discuss Halle Berry, you're talking 15 years ago, you're talking 10 years ago, so that there's an element there where you got to be realistic about what it is you're actually talking about.
Why does it have to be that deep? If someone's not attracted to you, they're not attracted to you, regardless of what else is going on.
Hold on.
Right.
Let me ask you this.
Mhm.
Can somebody be attractive and they're not attractive to you?
If she's attracted to you, then it is what it is.
Let me explain.
I'm not gonna sit there and say because Tito finds her attractive, she must be attractive. No.
So let me explain. Like, I've had friends in my past that are attractive, like physically attractive. I can't take that away from them. Like, you look at them, they are attractive. But for me, it was like, nah. Like, that wasn't my cup of tea. But I could understand. Okay. I understand why somebody like green tea, but I like black tea. I could still say black tea is good.
Yeah, I'm not knocking the fact that millions of people find her attractive.
No, that's the point. That's the point
that we
was getting to. We're not talking about for you. We're talking about if there's a marketplace, you understand. If you're not a person who likes diamonds, again, back to the jewelry analogy, if you don't like diamonds, you still understand why diamonds are valuable.
I have a question.
That's completely different, but yeah, go ahead.
Or a request rather. Maybe this is a question for Wayne, but I would like some clarification on the concept of what exactly is being referred to as the sexual marketplace and why is sexual in front of marketplace?
All right. And actually, a very good question. When I started discussing this with the guys, I had marketplace, and I probably put something like dating marketplace or whatever. But sexual marketplace just happens to be the term that is most often used, I guess, like on the internet. I don't particularly think about it like that, but I guess in terms of the base level attraction between men and women, that's what's being referred to, not in terms of sex itself, but in terms of sexual energy. So when that energy, which is attracting you in the initial sense, so it's that marketplace is in contrast to the relationship marketplace. So whatever you view as on the initial or the opposite end of being in a relationship with someone, that's where the sexual marketplace exists.
All right, because I'll tell y'all, I'll be real, and I'll say, like, every time we have this conversation, which we've had a few times now, I'm usually confused because when there is sex in front of anything, instantly in my mind, I'm like, okay, so this is based on sex and nothing else. Like, if you say sexual marketplace, I'm thinking sex is obviously the objective. That's at least how my brain works. So now if you say relationship marketplace, then I look at it from a different perspective. But sexual marketplace just makes you feel like, okay, this only about grinding.
No,
It
so,
is.
Right.
It's about finding a mate, though.
The idea is that whether it's a short period of time or a long period of time that you are engaged with someone in sexual marketplace transaction or dating marketplace transaction, you have to go through that to get to the relationship marketplace, which is the reason why you would say no short fat dude is going to end up being the love of your life, because he don't get to go and establish his relationship value before he establishes his sexual marketplace value, which is the raw things that you like and are attracted to at a base level.
Exactly.
Okay, that's fair. But don't use that example in case people watching this.
I'm very sorry. That's right. That was after dark. That's after dark.
that one gone over my head too. So.
Yeah, Dino, you don't be there. You don't be there.
edit. So the whole idea, and to me, there's an element of confusion that comes about because what I get from ladies is a tit for tat. The other day, I have mentioned something about, I don't even think it was talking about a relationship thing, but I was just talking about randomly about fat people or whatever. Because I'm getting up in age now, I'm over 40, so I look at things primarily from a health perspective. Like, who knew that all of these health issues, hypertension, diabetes, all of these things are real to people as you age? Like, this is not a game. Being overweight is not a game, right? So when you, that's my context. And I said something, and someone jumped and was like, oh, wait, you're 6'5", And the thing is like, when it comes down to the idea of within the sexual marketplace, because that's where they tried to take it, even though that's not what I was talking about. Men and women are graded differently in the sexual marketplace. A fine woman and a fine man are not doing the same thing in the sexual marketplace. It's not the same conversation. And that's the part that I think, I don't know if everything gets tossed in together, or maybe women weren't initially a part of the construction of the marketplaces. And so, now that they're coming in on the tail end, you guys are, kind of shifting it and wanting the rules to be different than what they are.
I think people are adding as they go, though.
Yeah, but nature kind of sets out the stuff, because it's as simple as, and I think the dude Rollo Tomasi had talked about women trade on beauty, men trade on success. which
Agreed.
is a simplistic, it's a simplistic view of things. However, that's basically what it boils down to, which is why, for the great extent of our life and human existence, you will always have successful fat dudes who have a bunch of women and have choices.
Yeah, because
That's why.
Because they are
people,
con.
right?
Yeah.
I think people hear sexual marketplace and they take that completely the wrong way, right? Because it's all
Yeah.
a subconscious thing, right? It only consists of things that you find attractive in a mate. So when they, like Dakota said, when you say terms like sexual market value, people hear that and like, yo, but okay, it has to mean this, but it doesn't mean that. No, it only means what you are attracted to in a mate.
No,
That's it.
because now, see, this is something that I try to walk back. You're saying only things that you are attracted to, right? But as human beings, we are not that special. Like, we are not that unique. That's why when you have you get an antibiotic or something, the doctor could just tell you, here, take this and take this for 2 weeks. Take this and take this for 4 weeks. Because as human beings, whatever it is that you have that someone else could have, normally, if you take this for 2 weeks, it's going to cure you. It doesn't matter that if your body is a different type and you have a different blood type, and this is all these things they're able to diagnose because human beings are mostly the same. So when we start to talk about this idea of what it is that you like, and it's just about what you like, what ends up happening is that the majority of people like the same stuff. And you relegate that conversation to something different when we try to make people feel as though they're making individualistic decisions, when we are not. We are the same, and we are making the same choices over and over and over.
So
Never be.
basically the reason it's a marketplace is because you're competing for that person, whether you view it that way or not. Like, before you were in a relationship, it was you as well as anybody else who was talking to that person. You had to stand out as to why she should pick you. In the
Yeah, I
same
mean,
way,
Is that
right.
not where individuality comes in? That
No,
where it comes into
that's-
play, though?
but that's my
That-
point, right?
No, in the final picking is where individuality comes into play. But in the marketplace, that's where you have the majority of people going for that same thing. It's again, at an auction, an item is up for bid. You have people bidding for it. The person who's get it is the highest bidder. So in the same way, you have to, if you're going after men chasing a female, you're trying to get this female, you are competing with other men also trying to get this female. You now have to stand out. So that's where it's the marketplace, and this is where your individual characteristics then set you apart as to why you get chosen over the many others, even though the many others may look exactly like you.
So it still boils down to you and having traits as an individual that sets you apart from somebody else, which is why I said sexual market value. And by definition, it's a subconscious thing that consists of all things that people find attractive in a mate. At the end of the day, if me and you going after, if I going after a woman, we all know, I'm not going to be thinking in my mind, I wonder what how Dito feel about her. Does Dito find that attractive? No, I'm not. I'm not thinking that way.
No,
so obviously,
in the same way, at an auction, I'm not thinking about how much money this man have in his pocket. It's, I want this item. I'm not thinking about that. So, but the value in the marketplace is the fact that this person is now wanted by many. That's their sexual marketplace value. Who gets it is a completely different story. Who gets it has nothing to do with the sexual marketplace value.
That all boils down to the individual, right? And having traits as an individual, certain traits as an individual.
Yes, but you picking somebody has nothing to do with the sexual marketplace value. You going after that person does. You getting chosen doesn't.
But you hold on.
Because if you
go, me too. Because if you're going after the person, you still have these traits whether you're chosen or not. So if you go after this person with certain traits, and then you're chosen with certain traits, you were still chosen based on based on you as an individual and your traits.
Yes, but your individual traits aren't what is on the marketplace.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. When you decide to go out with a girl, right? Why do you walk up to her? Because of what you see.
Okay, so if you
Right.
decide
Right.
to pursue a girl, right? Based on
Uh-huh.
what you're saying, if you decide to pursue a girl, right? It's different between her choosing you and you pursuing us. What you're saying, I got that part.
Okay.
But let's put a twist on that, right? Let's say you pursue Kelly, right?
Mhm.
And Alexis is trying to pursue you,
Uh-huh.
right? At the end of the day, they still boil down to you as an individual and your traits, because you could pursue someone, like you say, you could pursue someone not get picked, but someone else
Right.
could be pursuing you based on your individual traits. So at the end of the day, your sexual market value still boils down to the traits that you have as an individual, regardless if
No.
you're pursuing or being pursued.
No, it doesn't. And this is what we're explaining. One, right now we're talking about the female value in the marketplace, right?
We can
Go
talk
out-
about both.
No,
I-
no, I could jump to the next side too. So again, as you said, Rollo Tomasi say women trade off of beauty, men trade off of success, right? It don't matter how a man look walking into a place. If a woman perceives him as successful, his value goes up. Whether or not
I'm
she
here to
know-
tell you no.
You're here to tell me no. If he's perceived as successful,
More often than not, a person is perceived as successful based on their physical appearance.
No way in the
No,
world. And,
no.
and here's the thing.
Yes,
Here's the thing.
I am the
Let me
only
tell you
woman
something.
on this forum right now within
Let me
this
tell you
discourse,
something.
and I'm here
Let
to
me
tell you,
something with-
a dude could walk into a place, Wayne, and if he
Right.
look pop down, as far as I concerned, that ninja break. But,
No, but we ain't talking about
away,
looking pop down. And here's
that's
the
what
here's
Dito
the thing.
said.
That's what
No.
Nito said.
He's
I said it's
perceived.
perceived.
A lot, right?
Perceived.
Same.
But when you speak with women and ask them these questions about their opinion, you oftentimes get different results than what you actually observe in the marketplace. I tell you, when it comes down to a situation where we're talking about a physical appearance. Now, in the example, right? He talked about a successful guy. Well, if you have a successful guy that two men are equally successful, and then one of the guys looks like Idris Elba or whoever is popping at the moment, yes, that man then takes a priority. He takes a primary place in the market. Am I froze or y'all froze?
No,
Oh, we listening.
Dito
think that's-
frozen.
that's just me.
So if
There we go.
all right, so if the men are equally successful, equal resources, and then one is hella handsome, then he has ups in the marketplace. But what you're talking about is a situation, or what we're talking about is situations where there's, random, oh, this guy works part-time at a gym. He ain't never really hold down a steady job, but he fine. And he, whatever, he look good. Girls like to look at him. When that guy gets into an environment where women are choosing, that guy don't win over the chubby guy that's walking in with who owns two businesses and who's clearing, $200,000 a year and roll up, give his keys to the valet, step inside with his little chest hairs out and gold chain on, walks into the room, and as soon as he steps in, someone walks up and greets him. Hi, Mr. Smith. Glad to see you back again. That's the comparison.
Okay, so let me give another example, right? And Dakota, it seems like you're very different from other women based on getting to know you. But I'll ask it. How scale of 1 to 10 physical appearance, Jeff Bezos, how attractive would you say he is?
Not very.
No, scale of 1 to 10.
3.5.
Okay. Michael Ealy, scale of 1 to 10.
5.
5.
Not really my type.
Okay, still none of them not your type. Great, perfect. So, but what you clearly say, Michael Lilly is more attractive than Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
You are in a place now where both of these men are. Michael Lilly worth somewhere less than 100 million. Jeff
Mhm.
Bezos worth somewhere more than 100 billion, right?
Hmm.
Way different. Both of them express interest in you.
Hmm.
Who would you pick?
Based on me knowing absolutely nothing about either of these men,
You
because
just know their success.
am I aware of their success prior to them walking
Yes,
into the building?
you're aware of their success.
Because I was under the assumption that two men walk into a building and I know nothing of either of them. And just based on optics alone,
Mhm.
I would say, okay, this man looks more put together
Mhm.
and maybe he
No,
has a
but
lot more going
that
on
right
than the
there-
other person.
That right there is what you're describing is not what is typically the case. And this is why a lot of women always talk about they get swing, or when you get to know a guy and he don't have what you thought he had. Because what typically happens is a woman is seeing the car you put in, a woman is seeing the way that you authorize a room. They're looking and seeing how people respond to you. They're looking to see how many people come up and hail you, how many people know you. And there's an element of you of perceived success. So no, you don't necessarily have to know, or you may have someone, you be in a situation where a girl say to another girl, "Oh, him there, that's Jeff right there, the one on Amazon." That's the case of now you have an element of the knowledge of the success, but it's not like you have a resume for each. You know exactly their bank account and you're making a choice.
Okay.
Yeah, but the analogy I was showing is just to show that you would choose the more successful person over the more attractive person, even though both are wildly successful.
Yeah, but Dito, I actually think there's a flaw in the way you set that up. Because what I would think for a typical woman, especially a black woman, there's no issue with a guy who is worth $20 million like Michael Ealy probably is, that they think is fine, and a dude who is a billionaire. Because at the level that most of us are trading, $20 million is sufficient to feel like a billionaire. So I don't think that you would get a lot of responses where people just go and choose a billionaire.
No, I understand. My analogy was way far and fast, right? But I could throw Kanye West before all of this crazy stuff just happened recently, right? He was a billionaire, and it would probably be the same turnout,
Actually, I don't think the reason why I'm saying that is this. The analogy that you're giving is far different than what happens for men. What happens for men is that there's a woman that works, that is the CEO of Yahoo, and she is pursuing me. And because the chick who work in cash at McDonald's look finer than her, I go out with the chick who work at McDonald's.
I agree with you, but that's on the men's side. I was just expressing for the women's side.
When you're giving the fine guy a net worth of 10 million and 20 million and 50 million, it's no comparison.
Can I just date both? Can I just date both and decide who's nicer? It's gonna give me more money freely.
But all of that comes just to prove that it's, again, men trade on success. That was just my point, is the level of success then makes a man more attractive. Even though physically you may view him one way on the scale, that goes out the window, because you see so many times, you see a lot of extremely attractive women with, you would say, not so attractive men, just on a physical appearance. And that's because of his
level of success, which is true.
Exactly.
Which is
Whereas men as Wayne just said, would date somebody working at McDonald's just based on how she look.
Not me.
Her
No.
level of success doesn't matter to a man.
If you fine and broke, I straight. You could keep it
Exactly.
moving.
That's where the marketplaces are different for men and women.
And it's
Fine,
just as this is the same thing that you said just now, Dakota. It's where really women don't, particularly high level corporate women, business owners who are good looking, they don't get this idea that a man is just willing to be just as easy as you were like, oh, no, thank you, not gonna do it. That's the way that a man is just looking at you like, yeah, you have your own house, you have your own business, your own car, and you pulling in X amount of dollars a year, but you look like how you look. No, thank you. And women, by and large, don't seem to. They don't get that. And then I think that it's not even. It's a narrative in the media and a narrative in the way in society that tries to almost preach against. And it goes to the notion that Kev made is that I hear those women then talking about as an individual this and as an individual that, and this value that they have, know your worth and know all of these things. Your worth as a marketplace value, not just because you see yourself as valuable, it then puts you in any class that you want.
No, I'm not saying that. Obviously not. I'm not saying that at all. But it all boils down to individual traits.
But the concept that you're expressing.
No. No. I think we listen to one another and we miss certain things and then we jump into the extreme of a lot of things. That's not what I'm saying at all.
Oh, so what are you saying? Because right now I'm agreeing with Wayne.
Yeah, that's fine. We all sit here and we talk about red pill, blue pill, X, Y, and Z. We show very successful men talking about how women choose men, so on and so forth. Where are the studies that women look typically for success?
There's many. There's many.
Right. Okay. There are many, and there's also many studies that states the exact opposite. That success isn't it. Yes.
No, there literally aren't.
There are.
There literally aren't. You may have one or two studies here and there, but when it comes down to
But you just said that. But you just said there aren't any.
Huh?
You just
you
said not.
You said there are many. I said there aren't. There aren't many. There aren't many.
But so
there's a vast gaping chasm in the amount that say that women don't look for success versus the ones that show that they do.
And how much studies have you actually researched that says that? How much studies have you actually researched that said that women choose men on success versus how much studies you read that women choose men versus on other traits?
Yeah, I'm not sure where you.
No. I want him to answer the question.
Well, I'll answer the question.
Hold on. Let him answer the question first, and we can move on to what you're saying.
I've read one or two.
On which one?
On that women look for successful. There's literally a term called hypergamy because of this.
Yeah, you read one or two.
Yeah.
Now my question to you is: have you researched the flip of the other side of the coin to that?
I've looked for it and I can't find any. But also it comes in my daily life. In my daily life, that I see these things. When you see women leave a man, they don't go for somebody who is less than. They go for somebody who is greater than.
Well, many
right.
There are many situations where women left men that have shit together for no good men.
Again, there are anomalies in this world. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but we're talking about the vast majority. If we go down and break down every case of every single thing, this happened this one time.
Yeah, you also have to make sure that comparing apples and apples, when you start to look at the decision-making factor, Like for instance, the example that you just shared, Kev, there's you know, a million women that have been in a marriage or relationship with a highly successful, capable man, and they end up for one reason or another being scorned and ended up leaving the dude for crackhead, attention and sex. So yes, but you have to compare the apples with apples. What Dito is talking about is a scenario you're looking at in a wholesome relationship, or you know, committed relationship together, whatever that means to them, and they look to duplicate the same type of relationship with the next person they're engaged in or engaged with. That's where you could compare the hypergamy conversation. You can't compare hypergamy to my wife get mad at me and go out using the dude who she worked with, who was the custodian at the school. That's not the same thing.
I mean, I'll say this, right? I kind of I hear what y'all saying, and I kind of with Kev on this one. I mean, yeah, I think women looking at success as a meter or as a measurement in regard to her level of attraction to a guy. It exists, okay, yes, it's a real thing, but there are also countless of women that are in love with Joneses. Trip out over them. Like,
So,
But
how do
it's
we
not.
explain that?
It's
just by speaking
again.
now, right?
Again,
as we
it's
So-
speak.
just it becomes down to say it's the anomaly. It's the minority of situations. Not saying that it doesn't happen. Period.
It
Yeah,
ain't a
but
minority,
this is the thing.
Dito.
But
Hold on a second, Dakota, because it is what I tell you, and I've been through the exercise with countless women, right? Because after I realized that this is a thing that people are treating with this abstract, oh, you just don't know, you don't know, you don't know, I started actually doing this. And what ends up happening is there's a trajectory when it comes to male-female dynamics where there's certain situations, let's say you're high school sweethearts with someone. When you are in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, what is determined to be success for a man? It may be the fact that this dude is just the fastest guy at lunch. Like they at lunch and he's just the fastest. You in 9th grade and you become popular for that. You fast, you go into track, you start playing sports. Okay, now you are popular. In high school scenario, this dude is grade 8. So when a woman starts to become attracted to that, that is what emulates success. Now, it so happens that this dude, about his last year, after they already get together in 11th grade, they get together in 12th grade, and dude get into something, and he drop out of school, start working in the gas station, and then she goes on to college. She goes and gets a degree, and then people are looking at it like, oh, you done get a whole degree and you get this big job, XYZ, and you checking this dude, he around there pumping gas. These are the scenarios what end up actually happening in real life. It's not just that a woman randomly going to select a guy that is unsuccessful and then fall in love with him.
No, you don't think so. You don't think it happens.
No, I'm not saying about thinking so. What I'm saying is the example of happening is an extreme rarity. The other time,
no, statistically, it's
because
I
I think what y'all are describing to me are situations where then I have to say, okay, so obviously someone's success or my determination to what level of success is attractive or appropriate for me is completely based on my individual requirement. What I see as successful.
Yeah, but when you determine, when you start, there are things that all of us determine are successful things. And there's almost like there's a realm of of beauty. There's a realm of success. You may not equally rate every factor of every single thing, but there are elements of it that are, so just for instance, just when you're talking about something like confidence, when you're talking about something like notoriety or stature, when you're talking about something like either your earnings, your current earnings, or your earnings potential, those are things that are involved in the success equation. Now, as a woman, you're choosing a partner, you may be able to determine, okay, this guy, I already seen out my first, and he's saying he needed to go to school 6 years to come out and do this X, I have the confidence based on what I see that at the end of the day, he's going to be able to do this, so I could suck up whatever is happening right now to be able to deal with him in 6 years from now.
See, I'm gonna be real with y'all. This is how I always feel when we do the show. I feel like our conversations are always in a box. Like, we talk about scenarios based on a certain set of people and a certain set of situations, because I know I have a friend for a fact right now. Her level of success is the biggest D-boy running the road right now.
Yeah, but again,
so for
remember,
her,
but you're talking about earning. So it's not, that's earning.
Yes, this is what I'm talking about right now, earning. So for
That's
her,
earning.
her focus is not, oh, where we could be in 6 years. She's in the present, and that's what she's attracted to. And so
Yeah,
when I say our conversations are always in the box, we always talk about.
No, earnings or earnings potential. That's in the same conversation. What you're describing is in the exact same conversation.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I just feel like we always talk about like a particular set of people. I always feel like our conversations are.
Your friend is included in what I just said. Why are you saying?
But hear me out. Nah, because I'm telling you how I feel when we always have these conversations. I always feel like they're projected to like a middle class people.
No,
and
she is included.
And so let me finish. So when we have these conversations, as someone who was born and raised in the ghetto, even sitting here and being part of the conversation, I'm like, man, I don't really know about this because this doesn't apply to me. This is not applicable. Like, I understand how other people may think, if you understand what I'm saying. So people who are not from certain walks of life, if you feel me, when we talk about success and we see this, the conversation is, oh, a man that earns this and a man that earns that, and this one who have a degree and all these things. And the reality is that there is a huge lot of people whose walks of life and perspectives are completely different from this.
You're saying that perspective completely different, Dakota, but it's not different. You're speaking in terms of you're looking to apply the particulars as opposed to looking at the concept. The concept is the exact same. So when you perceive, if somebody walk around, I mean, this is not familiar territory for me. You walk around, you have $10,000 in your pocket, $20,000 in your pocket. You walk in the club and you buy all the bottles in the club. When you walk in the club, the women flocking left, right, and center. Mm-hmm. Pictures and views. It's the same thing as an individual walking into a clubhouse and a lady walking into a clubhouse and seeing, oh, this one, he's with this law firm, and it's the exact same phenomenon.
So
yeah, well, I will make that clear that we know that.
Okay,
can
we're aware of that.
Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead, Gav.
The whole time you guys are going on about the D-boys in the streets and the Honda Song rims and all of that stuff, right? I don't understand how my good friend Tito could sit here and tell me that he looked for these studies and couldn't find any. Because there have been 2 or 3 studies per year from 2007 to 2019. This is my point. And I always tell people, always cross-reference, right? People tend to go, when they tend to do research, they tend to stick on a trail that they agree with. And that in itself is my problem. That you saying that there are studies where women choose men for success, and you said there are quite a few studies. They actually name terms after it, and so on and so forth. There are a shit ton of studies that say the exact opposite, which means
that women don't choose men for success.
that women tend to choose men based on physical attraction and other traits, right? Let me finish. So at the end of the day, when we keep using the words, "Oh, y'all special because it's an anomaly," it clearly isn't.
No.
It clearly isn't.
See, first off, send me those studies. Hold on, I freeze. I freeze. Hold
Yeah,
on.
Tito,
No,
you frozen.
No, first off, send me those studies. Send
I
me those
definitely
studies.
will.
I will go and read them and show you that they are wrong in that. Or the outset of it. The outset of it. Hold on. I'm going to explain myself. Because I guarantee when you go and read that, it's not going to say what the headline says. Because again, success is different depending on your walk of life. If you're somebody who grew up in the hood and you only know about eating tuna and grits every single day, somebody who come and only making 30 grand a year, that's more successful than you. That's still a modicum of success. Again, generally speaking, women want somebody who is better than them. They want a man who can lead, and that man generally is better than they are. Right? And again, not saying better, not saying.
I don't know what I said.
Huh?
The lady in the audience. That better than them. I don't know.
No, that's why I'm going to clarify. When I say better than you, right? There are things women are better at. There are things men are better at, right? When it comes to being a leader, women want a man who can lead. When it comes to being a provider, women want a man who can provide more than them. Generally speaking, some women are okay with men who provide less. Some.
I'm not, but go ahead.
Exactly. Again, you fall right into that same category. You want somebody who is financially better than you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So again, that's somebody who's better than you. You want a leader, but you don't want somebody worse than you.
No.
And even that man who you pick is even. If he's just okay being stagnant, you're probably gonna have a problem with that.
Yeah, I'm out.
Exactly my point. And this is just an anecdotal thing. If again you pick somebody, a girl who is a manager in the local McDonald's, she ain't gonna want to go with the fry cook, bro.
So when you say success, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you say women choose
success, means more successful than them. It doesn't mean they have to make 100 grand a year.
Cool. Break down that success to me.
Okay. Success generally means financially successful. Generally mean. And again, generally financially more successful than they are. Whatever point that they're at.
Finish up, but I just have to put this there because people try to use this too much time. It's financial or it's the perception of future financial. Because a lot of times it's depending on a woman's age. Actually having the money is not the most important thing. So if a woman is 19, 20, 21, and you're in college with her, and the two of y'all broke together,
she's willing to deal with potential.
Anyway.
Yeah, he's right. She's willing to deal with potential, but only for so long.
I get all of that, right? But go back to breaking down what success is and how, and this is weird, how women see success in a man. What would women consider a successful man?
Yeah, because this is what I was hinting at all along.
Right. Other than finances, if you have to take out finances, what is left?
If you have to take out finances, what is left?
Yeah.
Well, hold on, yeah. Let me jump in a second because I actually, the fact that you and Dakota are like it's dumbfounded that this is totally illogical. Why
else do that? I'm not saying that it's illogical, you know. I'm saying that you get information from one source of studies and not considering the other source of studies.
I have an actual life study. I have a life study in this, bro. So
But we
this-
can't
I
count your
told
life
you,
study because you're an individual.
No,
It's
what I'm saying,
biased.
what I'm saying is that this whole conversation only became very exciting to me after I realized that I was a jizzer in this conversation through my life's experiences. This is where when it comes down to the point of understanding that men and women both do not understand what is going on around them. That's what actually interested me in this entire conversation. So when you're talking about you're alluding to the fact that women are going to choose men based on something like physical appearance. What I'm saying to you is, first of
No,
all,
we
and
didn't do
there's
that at all.
so what are you actually saying? Because all you're doing now is saying what you're not saying. What are you
That's
saying?
because no one seems like we like I said, we hear certain things and disregard everything else. My point from the very beginning of this whole studies thing is that there are
Right.
studies that show complete opposites.
Okay,
And-
so if you're
and I
is-
didn't
is-
disagree.
Is what you're doing, what you're seeking to do, prove a theory about research, which we could do about COVID-19, or is what you're doing actually trying to talk about the subject matter of male-female attraction, the sexual marketplace, and the relationship marketplace? Because there's two different conversations. If you're just looking to have a theoretical conversation about the way people do research, that's one thing. If you're wanting to allude to the answers of what
Sure.
happens in the sexual marketplace, in the relationship marketplace, that's a different conversation.
Listen.
Do you have another segment?
Let me say this. Let me say this before we move to that segment, right? And this is what I find troubling with a lot of people. We try to get too deep in very shallow water. That's all we're doing. We're trying to get too deep in very shallow water.
What are we getting
Right.
deep about?
Everything that Wayne just explained just now, we're
No,
getting,
but I
we're getting,
would say
we're getting
on,
too.
on contrary, all right, that's your personal opinion, and that's what I would say is to an individual like you.
That's
I
not
get deep about everything.
right.
So
That's not
if-
my personal opinion, though.
Hold
But
on.
your personal opinion of what is deep and what is shallow.
Hold on. Before we get into the weeds, Kev, what is your point? So we can expand on that.
No. Doesn't you know?
Say it again?
What is your point?
Why are you doing that? Let's listen and try to understand.
Okay,
Let's listen and try to understand instead of listening to speak. That's
Okay.
the problem. We just listen and respond.
Okay,
What
so
is one off outages, but with no substance.
Hold on, Wayne.
How so?
Hold on.
He brought up and said that there are studies that said that women choose men for success. I asked him what success means. He said on the top of the totem pole is financial. Correct?
Yes, that is what I said.
Cool. There are also studies that show that women, multiple studies, and I will send these to you by Columbia University, so on and so forth. I will send these to you. There are also studies that show that women are more attractive to, more likely to navigate towards someone that's physically attractive or intelligent. Now, you could be a very successful man and dumb as skunk, correct?
Yes.
You could have a lot of money and be dumb as skunk, correct?
Yes.
So my point is, Wayne saying I don't have a point. My point is, we keep using the word, oh, well, Dakota sees an anomaly because she's thinking different. No, there are studies that prove both things. So which one we going on? We going on that one study because that's where our, because that's where.
No. Hold on. Hold on.
Because it's the majority.
Again,
Say it again, Dakota.
Or because it's the majority.
Okay.
Because this is what we're talking about. When we talk about things and we speak in generalities, you have to speak for the majority. You can't speak for the minority. Are there? Hold on. Are there
I have a problem with that.
Are there women that
Exactly.
that prioritize looks above finances? Of course there are. You can find somebody who prioritizes something above another thing all throughout the world by just going and picking somebody and be like, hey, would you prefer somebody who has 6 toes versus being a millionaire? Somebody might say yes. But again, when you're trying to have a general conversation, you have to speak in generalities. You're not speaking for the minority, you're speaking for the majority.
Cool. Those studies show a majority how? The studies
Huh?
that you're leaning towards.
They show a majority based on their polling, based on their asking of questions, based on their analyzing of women that are actually choosing men more
Cool.
successful than they are.
So for the people in the room that are actually listening,
Mm-hmm.
I just Googled something, right? And
Mhm.
it's not even vague, it's very specific.
Mm-hmm.
Studies that show how do women choose men.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? No study showed up saying that they choose men based on finances. Now, I have a next tab open and I typed in, do women choose men based on finances?
Mm-hmm.
And there were several studies that showed up.
Uh-huh.
So my thing is, right, we saying, oh, the majority. How do we get that number? Show me the polls and the analytics that says this.
I will get it for you. I will gather them and bring it to you. But again,
Drop them in the group right now so we can read it
hold
aloud.
on. You asking me to stop talking so I could go research. I ain't going to research right now, but I will get it to you and I will bring it on
But you see
another
the
episode.
studies already.
Huh? But I will bring it. I don't have it at the ready. But
Cool.
but my point there is saying is that, again, do women pick men off of looks? Of course they do. Is that the number one priority? If you have 2 men that look exactly the same, one is a millionaire, one makes $1 million a year, one makes $100,000. The looks don't matter. The looks go out the window. Even if you have the man who makes $1 million is less attractive than the man who makes 100,000, generally speaking, and Dakota just proved this as an anecdote, she's going to go with the one that is making more money.
Right. So what
Right.
what happens in situations where the dude that makes the most money is an asshole? And then I'm like, okay, yeah, you got money, but your attitude stinks. I don't like you. I'm gonna just go with this guy who's not as successful as you are.
Now that gets down into saying, hey, see, we're transitioning now from the sexual marketplace to the relationship marketplace, right?
I don't like the sexual marketplace.
The dating marketplace. The dating marketplace. When you're deciding to go on a date with somebody, you're not looking at if he's an asshole, because you have to find out if he's an asshole. You're first going to find out, hey, how successful he is. In this age we have, you're going to Google him. You're going to research about this person that you are interested in. You're going to find out as much information as you could. I mean, none of us may do that, but they are in this dating world today. That's what people do.
I do it all the time.
Exactly. So you find out about this person, and in your research, you're going to say, hey, if you have 2 options, hey, you see this man living in a mansion, driving the the most brand new car. This other dude, he have a little 2-bedroom house. He's driving a Honda Accord. Even though you find the one who seems to be making less, more attractive physically,
I'm gonna date both of them.
Yeah, but if you only had to choose one, aren't you going to more than likely lean towards the one who is more financially successful, even though he may be less physically attractive?
I mean, that's hard for me, because I think other factors come into play. Whereas like
dating now, not relationship, just dating. The man asked you out on a date.
Dating. Yeah, but like for me, I can't, like, I absolutely have to choose one.
Yeah, I again, just for the sake of this scenario, obviously people going to date around, and there are other factors and things that are going to come up to help you then further make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
That's understandable.
Okay.
But we're talking about what grabs you first. As we know, factually, hands down for men, it's based on how a woman looks. This is why I'm going to approach her. That is not the same for women. It's not how he looks. It's the reason that when you sit down and talk with your girlfriends, or the guys sit down and talk with the boys, say, yo, I just been out on a date with this girl. You know what your boys will say? How she look. when you go with the girl, say, "Oh, I just been out with this guy or whatever." You know what the girls say? What he used to. It's a difference in mindset.
I'm gonna tell you, you know, we had a conversation, Kev and Wayne, in the after show last week, and I told y'all that, yeah, you know, y'all remember that conversation?
Right?
Where even though person was like financially well off, I ain't like how he look. So even though relatively he could be considered as a successful man, I don't like how he look. I can't get past it. So it's a no for me.
Right. And that's when, see, when we having this conversation that y'all have right now, you having them within the context of, like, you have two choices and it's this one or that one. But what ends up happening in reality is a lot of these things are happening subconsciously. And so when you start to see your selection pool, you as I don't want to say as a woman, because the same thing happens in the reverse as a man. If you're as a man and you going out there and you hollering at all of these fine girls, oh, this one, you dropping your line, but you ain't really getting no play. Ultimately, you will start to realize, let me shoot a little down the road at these girls who someone looking at you and liking you already, like how I coach, you know, my nephews, my younger brothers, when I talk to them and I tell them, bro, you never, and this was so much of a challenge for the internet, because men are ending up with women that want them, which is never a scenario that you want to be in as a man. As a man, you want to be with the women that you want, because the women that want you naturally are going to be shooting from a level that's a different level, let's call it. And so that's a natural dynamic. So as a man, you always want to be consciously getting after women who aren't necessarily just gravitating towards you. You want to be exerting some effort. You have to be showing up and showing your resume to the women, because the women who want you, for instance, you know, you could go right now as a man, ride through, you know, let's not even name any old place in any old side of town, nice car, nice rims, pull up, stop out, go to the liquor store. And just by doing that, you stand up over there, you pull out, you know, a couple $100 and you buy a drink. When you start laying down your game, you notice that there's a pool of women that you will have to choose from. Just off of that basic appearance, they don't know what you do. They don't know about your network. They don't know whatever. All they know is you have a nice car and you have a couple $100 and you are willing to stop there and you say, hey, sweet girl, what you drinking? Boom. Which means that you are a person that's willing to take care in some capacity. You will then have a pool of women that's at a certain level. And as that level of established status increases, your pool, your selection pool increases. And that's all that happens, and it happens in the reverse for women, for men.
With that said, Kev, give us your final thoughts, your wrap up.
I agree with things that you both said, you and Wayne. I also agree with things that Dakota say, especially that we always have a conversation in a box. I know we always try to speak on what the majority wants, generally speaking. But at the same time, we have, I can't say this enough, we have to cross-reference our information there. Because there are studies that show both. Women choosing men based off economic status or just financial alone. But there are also women that choose men based on how they look. Because there are studies that say that women would choose men that have more money or better economic status for short flings. But then there are studies that choose that women would gravitate to a man that's physically attractive for long-term relationships. So with that being said, there are studies that prove both points. That women would choose men based on their success financially or just purely based on how attractive they are, right? So at the end of the day, the scales could be completely balanced. But we are arguing just based on your opinion or mindsets of others. I don't feel like we should be choosing just based on that alone. We need to look at all the facts and all the information and then come to a conclusion. We as people do not do that. And that is my problem with it. We don't do that. We read something and that aligns with what we think. And we say, okay, there's a study that shows this, and that aligns with what I think. I'm gonna run with that. I'm gonna run in that direction. That's all fine and dandy. But when you're speaking and bringing information to a lot of people, to the masses, you have to sit there, and we have to be responsible enough to provide both sides of the coin. And I feel like as a people, we don't do that. That's my biggest gripe with it. We don't do that. Not saying, I'm not sitting here saying that you and Wayne are wrong. I'm not saying that Dakota is 100% right, because I agree from perspectives from both parts. But at the end of the day, we have to do our due diligence and sit down and look at both sides of the coin. We do not do that enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just say my final thought is it's kind of tricky because at certain points in my life, I've chosen a man who was not better than me financially, but I chose him because of how he made me feel, because he provided things outside of finances that maybe a previous man that was more financially capable and stable than him didn't provide. Things like emotional support, emotional security, feelings of safety, things like that. And I've chosen somebody who didn't have money, but provided me with things that ultimately money couldn't buy. At this point in my life, however, while those things are still important, financial security at this point in my life is very high on the totem pole, but it is definitely not, it's not the gold standard for me. And that's essentially because I got my own money. So it's not the gold standard. While I would like and I would prefer that that safety net is there, it's not the only thing that would drive my decision making. Because I can tell y'all, I live shallow. Looks are very important to me. Like, you could be super nice and you can be a great guy, but if I can't see myself rolling over and looking at you in the morning, but ain't nothing happening. I ain't care how nice you is. I ain't care how much money you have. If I can't stomach that morning face, ain't nothing happening, my guy. I may as well tell you.
Everything shot.
Wayne?
Everything
Yeah, I'll keep it short. So much as to say. I think that for us as human beings, I think we spend a lot of time, is particularly in these days and times, having the need to feel special. And I don't think that we take enough time to recognize how much more we are alike, how much of the choices, decisions that we make are the same, based on the same factors and the same phenomenon underlying, to the point where the things that make us individuals, and I like to use, you look at these numbers with 10,000 decimal places, to the nth and nth and nth degree. Just the last 5 digits makes it a totally unique number. As a matter of fact, just one last digit makes it a totally unique number. But you have a series of 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 places that are all the same. And that's typically the human experience is. We are much more the same than we are anything different.
So my final thoughts. With everything being said, I'm not saying that there aren't other factors that make people choose people, that make a woman choose a man. There aren't, I'm not saying there aren't other factors, right? But success, financial success, saying, and that translate to other things when you go throughout history. You see somebody as successful. There's a reason Genghis Khan, so they say, fathered majority of humans today. Most humans today, they say, have some of Genghis Khan DNA in them, and it is because his level of dominance throughout that part of the world at that time, right? And the reason he's able to father so many is because of, again, what is perceived as successful. Again, whether you believe in the Bible or not, right? I mean, you could go ahead and say about I see your face, Gav, about him conquering places, right? But you also had in the Bible, King Solomon had 300 wives, 700 concubines. You know, I mean, in today's world, women, a lot of women say they don't want to share with one, much less another 899 or 999. You know, but again, the reason for that is, again, due to success, being able to show that this is the best man for me to mate with historically. We have gotten away from that in terms of the mating, and so it is transitioned a bit, but it is still a level of success. Again, there are other things that comes into finally picking a final mate. Obviously, looks matter. What they do as a job matter, especially now. You know, some people be like, "Hey, you work for an oil company." I say go green. Again, I fuck with you. You know what I mean? So yes, there are other things, but
We could curse. You can't curse.
What you mean? Yeah, we can curse. I say
you
curse
can't
up a
curse.
breeze. I say curse up a breeze, you know.
You can't curse.
But
Listen to the party mode. All she waiting on is mix in.
but
Speak freely.
with that said, I think we can look and bear out to say, even with the studies that you will send me, Kevin, I will definitely go and read. You will see that there are monikers of success that matter for women. They may be different based on the woman. Again, financial level may be different. You know, it could be 50,000, it could be 100,000, it could be 500,000, it could be $1 million, right? And if you want to take anecdote, there's a gajillion YouTube videos you could look and see where women saying, "Hey, I want a man who make $500,000," and it's like,
sure,
okay.
They handpick those bimbos to come on the show because they know exactly what they're gonna say.
Fine, but I mean, there are a million jillion videos from all type of other people, right? So I not to say that it is the only factor, but it is a major, if not the number one factor for majority of people. As when it comes to men, on the other hand, the main thing in terms of picking somebody in the sexual/dating marketplace is strictly on how she looks. Whether or not she's going to be in a relationship with you later on, there are other factors there. But the reason you go out with that person is because of how she looks.
Okay. Let me say this, right? Once we have those studies and we have just all the polls in and all the stats, then we could come back to this conversation, right? For that part, right?
Bingo.
Because like I said, I'm not saying that you're wrong, but I'm saying that there are studies that say both, right? That's fine and dandy. I think we both agree on that. And moving back to Genghis Khan before you give us the shout out to me, that was a horrible example. We can't say certain words, obviously, but I don't think it was success in conquering, buddy. we know exactly what it was.
I mean, there was some of that, but there was also some
no
in terms of success. Anyway,
wild. All right, go ahead, buddy.
So on to the shot of the week. To just go with anything. I'm going to speak to the men today. If you're looking
Sexist.
to pick up, if you're looking, call it what it is. If you're looking to get a woman, right, work on yourself. Don't be chasing after women. Chase after your success, and the women will come. So in a shorter version, how I will put it, simply and plain, always be hungry, never be thirsty. Know the difference.
I guess
Yeah.
Little we gonna solve.